Light.
You'd better stay the hell away from my family. Because if you try something...
Jinwoo realized he was just one item away from completing the elixir of life, but to get it he needed to level up before heading back to that demonic castle. The problem? He was still stuck at rank E and couldn't join the high-level raids. So, he decided it was time to stop pretending to be weak and went to get Jinwoo's rank reassessed at the assessment building. A scout from the White Tiger Guild was watching, hoping to find someone worth recruiting, but all he saw were weaklings until Jinwoo walked in. That's when he froze and immediately called the guildmaster. Even Beak was shocked when he heard Jinwoo came in to reassess Jinwoo's rank. While waiting in line, a nervous newbie was sweating bullets, scared he'd get a low rank and wouldn't be able to pay his bills. Another guy tried to calm him down saying, "Relax bro, if you at least hit rank D, those smaller guild scouts will be all over you." Finally, it was Jinwoo's turn. Inside, he handed over all Jinwoo's info. Social security number, mom's credit card, Bitcoin wallet password, the whole deal. The lady at the desk cracked. Another frustrated rank E who can't accept he's a loser. Huh? She told him to put his hand on the black crystal. But when he did, the machine threw an error. She thought it was just a glitch and tried again. But it failed again. Freaked out, she called her boss, who came in to run the test himself. Guess what? Another error. That's when the guy started trembling because he realized it wasn't the machine, it was Jinwoo. Jinwoo's power level was off the charts. The boss whispered, "This kid's one of the top 10 in the country, he's rank S." Meanwhile, in a nearby park, Woo Jinsu was chatting with a red-haired nerd about the mysterious hunter who helped at Red Gate. Jinwoo's name came up, but he swore it wasn't Hangdansu, even though some people thought it was Choi. Curious as ever, Choi asked, "If it wasn't him, who was it?" Wait, but the redhead admitted he didn't stay till the end, so he couldn't say for sure. He did suspect Jinwoo, though, but decided to stay quiet until he had solid proof. Just then, they heard a commotion at the assessment building. It sounded like some hunter was throwing a tantrum about their rank. Jinsu decided to check it out, and Choi tagged along, saying he was curious too. Back at the building, the boss had to postpone Jinwoo's assessment because their detector couldn't handle Jinwoo's power. Everyone there was freaking out because a delay like that basically screamed rank S. No one had ever seen anyone break the detector before. Scouts from smaller guilds were already salivating at the chance to recruit him, but their excitement was cut short when someone unexpected arrived. It was the leader of the Hunter Guild, the biggest guild in South Korea. People were stunned, whispering, "Why is the supreme soldier himself here?" Jinwoo immediately recognized him as Choi Jong-in, a guy whose fire magic was so insane he could burn down the whole building in seconds. With a piercing gaze, Choi said, "There's no need for fancy detectors or a three-way. Without a doubt, this kid is rank S." So the guy walked in, all polite, introduced himself as the leader of the biggest guild in the country, and personally invited Jinwoo to join his squad. But Jinwoo? He straight up walked past him, saying he was busy. Everyone, including Four Eyes, was left standing there with their jaws on the floor. I mean, who in their right mind would snub one of the top-tier guys in the country like that? Choi Jong-in asked his slick-haired assistant if he somehow forgot to introduce him properly. But by the time they looked again, Jinwoo had vanished into thin air without making a sound. Choi smirked and said he'd make a damn good assassin. Things got even crazier when Guildmaster Beck stormed in, completely out of breath. Choi noticed how far the White Tiger Guild headquarters was and joked, "Did you morph into a tiger to get here that fast?" Later that night, Jinwoo visited Jinwoo's mom in the hospital, silently hoping for a miracle to wake her from her coma. He promised her, "Just hang on a little longer. I'll find a way to save you." Out of nowhere, Jewel showed up and asked if Jinwoo was the one who defeated those monsters in the double dungeon that day. Jewel admitted that Jinwoo had taught him not to always trust his gut instincts. Jinwoo casually replied, "We meet again." And Jewel started rambling a bunch of stuff that Jinwoo barely listened to. But he perked up when Jewel mentioned that the president of the Hunter Association was here to see him. And stepping out of the shadows came none other than Vice Admiral Gar. Well, his long-lost twin. The old dude introduced himself as Goguen and invited Jinwoo for a chat. He congratulated him on becoming a rank S hunter and said there was no need to wait for the reassessment, because everyone already knew the result. The old man admitted that the Hunter Association didn't have the fame or fat paychecks of the big guilds. He explained that their top guy, Director Wu, was only a rank A hunter. Still, he told Jinwoo it would be incredible if he joined the association and promised him a prestigious position. Jinwoo was confused, so the old man broke it down. The 5 biggest guilds were constantly competing, and if Jinwoo joined one of them, it would tip the balance of power. That's why he was inviting him to join the association, a neutral 6th power that kept the balance in check. Jinwoo thought it was a solid offer. It sounded like job security, plus he'd work under Korea's first ever rank S hunter, a total legend who didn't even look like he was pushing 80. But Jinwoo still turned him down. The president figured Jinwoo just wanted the big bucks. But he was surprised when Jinwoo said, "I want to fight. My place is in the dungeon." Jinwoo declared his resolve so strongly it left the old man stunned. Jinwoo excused himself, saying Jinwoo's little sister was home alone, waiting. The old man's side canceled all his plans and told Director Woo, "Let's hit the bar." On his way out, Jinwoo muttered that he didn't accept the offer because the association mostly handled rank D and E cases. He needed to get stronger, fast, to save Jinwoo's mom. No time to waste. The next day, Dong-soo woke up in the hospital completely wrecked. The deputy fieldmaster asked him if Ilhwan S was really a magic beast disguised as a human. Dong-soo scoffed. "That freak look human to you?" The deputy mentioned that HQ was tracking Ilhwan but doubted they could catch him. Even America's strongest hunter couldn't handle it. Dong-soo vividly remembered the guy stepping on him and warning, "Stay away from my family or you'll wish for death." Fueled by rage, Dong-soo was already plotting his revenge. Meanwhile, Jinwoo was browsing for artifacts to boost Jinwoo's power but quickly realized they were so expensive he'd have to sell both kidneys to afford half of one. He considered selling that orb of greed he picked up but worried about explaining how a supposed rank E hunter had something that could only come from high-level gates. Then he saw a job ad for a mining team and thought, well, maybe this could work. Over at the association building, the president was digging into more info about the kid. He found out that just 4 months ago, Jinwoo looked like a total rookie. The guy was impressed that Jinwoo had survived for so long before awakening, considering he used to get clapped by even the weakest goblins. The records showed that Jinwoo had been paying for Jinwoo's mom's eternal sleep treatment and Jinwoo's sister's college tuition. One record showed Jinwoo even joined a raid team from the Hunter Guild. The old man assumed Jinwoo was just after the money as expected, but he was surprised to see Jinwoo join the mining team instead of the attack team, where the real cash is. And there he was, looking like a construction worker ready to get his hands dirty. First, the attack team went in, led by Four Eyes. The guy launched a fireball that fried an entire group of chupacabras in seconds. He was so overpowered, a wad of tanks had to block his own attack. After clearing everything except the boss, the attack team called it a day. Jinwoo could tell right away that this Choi guy was a beast. He made sure to suppress Jinwoo's presence so he wouldn't get noticed. Right behind Four Eyes was the vice master of the Hunter Guild, Cha-hee-in, aka the ballerina. Jinwoo was amazed by her aura, but she wasn't far behind. Noticing a strong presence she thought could only belong to President Go, Jinwoo had to max out his stealth mode to avoid being detected by her superhuman sense of smell. That's when the mining crew rolled in. They worked hard to gather all the crystals and monster carcasses. But Jinwoo, he only had eyes for the dungeon boss. The boss radiated power even greater than Vulcan or Muse from the demon castle. Jinwoo couldn't wait to go one-on-one with this rank A beast. Out of nowhere, he overheard the crew gossiping about how they brought a rank E to work. Meanwhile, some wannabe tough guy bumped into him trying to flex, but one icy glare from Jinwoo made the dude nearly wet himself. Everyone started questioning if this guy was really rank E because he looked way too strong for that. When it was time for a break, the whole crew rushed off to eat, but not Jinwoo. He kept mining, saying he was almost done. Once he was finally alone, he bolted straight into the dungeon at full speed. He figured he had an hour-long break, which was plenty of time to sneak a peek at the boss. Jinwoo knew he couldn't kill the monster because that would close the portal and cost the Hunters Guild a fortune, but he just couldn't resist the temptation. He had already summoned his dagger when Cha-hee caught him red-handed. And that's where the episode ends. That's it for today's video. If you enjoyed, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more anime stories and breakdowns. And got a favorite scene from this episode? Tell me in the comments. Signing off. I'll see you in the next one.